It can happen to anyone at any time. A close encounter with a UFO. Citizens all over the world have been reporting incidents with alarming increase. With so many types of unexplained events, experts have come up with 4 main categories of sightings.
UFO sightings are usually categorized on a scale of close encounters.
But while government authorities usually step in to investigate, they often keep their findings to themselves. Ordinary citizens may be much closer to the truth. From mass sightings in the sky to probes inside the body, we are counting down the top 10 civilian close encounters of all time on Unsealed Alien Files. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. We are counting down the top 10 civilian close encounters of all time.
A close encounter of the first kind is when you have a witness or multiple witnesses seeing a craft in the sky.
Unsealed case file number 10. The Phoenix Lights. Phoenix, Arizona, March 1997. Residents watch in wonder as a dazzling array of lights appears in the evening sky. They are far away to the north and seem to hang motionless in the air. Near the Nevada border, onlookers report a massive V-shaped UFO lined with lights racing south across the sky. Thousands watch as it crosses a 300-mile stretch from Phoenix to Tucson. The next morning, the Phoenix Lights are a front-page story, receiving national coverage in America. Experts consider the incident to be one of the largest urban mass sightings in history.
Generally, you only have one visual piece of evidence to analyze. With the case of the Phoenix Lights, you have multiple angles, multiple cameras, multiple witnesses. That was all real.
Unsealed case file number 9. Kenneth Arnold's Flying Saucers. June 24th, 1947. Pilot Kenneth Arnold is flying a search and rescue mission over the Cascade Mountains when he sees 9 convex-shaped UFOs flying at supersonic speed. Arnold explains his encounter to the press, describing the UFOs as flying like a saucer would if you skipped it across the water. The image captures the imagination of a reporter for the Chicago Sun, and the term flying saucer enters the modern lexicon. To this day, the Cascades are considered one of the world's premier UFO hotspots, prompting both NORAD and SETI to maintain bases in the area. Unsealed case file number 8. The Belgian Wave. Eupen, Belgium, November 29th, 1989. 2 police officers patrolling the countryside spot a blinding light coming from a field. Arriving on the scene, they witness an enormous black triangle hovering silently overhead. Blazing lights emanate from each of the 3 corners, while a single blood-red beacon blinks on and off at its heart. The men look on in astonishment as the UFO begins moving silently toward the nearby town. They immediately set out in pursuit. Arriving in Eupen, they are among dozens who watch spellbound as it hangs motionless above the town for over 30 minutes. By the end of the night, an estimated 1,500 people will report a UFO encounter in one of history's biggest mass sightings. Over the next 2 years, the nation will experience an unending wave of black triangle sightings that leave authorities scrambling for answers. On several occasions, F-16 fighters are ordered to intercept the objects. But each time they attempt to lock on to the triangles with their targeting systems, they mysteriously malfunction, only to switch back on after the objects are out of range. By the time the wave comes to an end in 1991, some 13,000 people claim to have seen a UFO. Skeptics declare the black triangles to be American stealth aircraft on routine maneuvers. But after analyzing radar reports, even the Air Force flatly denies these allegations.
They knew the objects were there, and yet they weren't ours. So the big question is, whose were they?
The Belgian UFO wave remains one of the most extensively documented series of encounters on record. Coming up, we reveal compelling physical evidence from civilian close encounters of the second kind. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. We are counting down the top 10 most compelling civilian close encounters of all time.
A close encounter of the second kind is when not only do you have the visual sighting, but you have physical evidence left behind.
Unsealed case file number 7. The Cash Landrum Incident. Dayton, Texas, December 29th, 1980. Betty Cash, Vicky Landrum, and Landrum's grandson Colby are driving at night when out of nowhere, a bright diamond-shaped object hovers over the car. The two women stop and get out for a better view, only to step inside a wall of blazing heat emanating from the object. Suddenly, a group of 24 unmarked helicopters appear in the air overhead. But before they can intercept the UFO, it disappears into the night. In the days that follow, both women begin to feel ill. They show signs of what appears to be severe sunburn and begin to experience hair loss. 2 weeks after the incident, Betty Cash is admitted to hospital. She has developed skin cancer. She will survive the disease, but the terrifying experience will haunt her for the rest of her life. Doctors suspect all 3 occupants of the car were exposed to a strange form of ionizing radiation. Unsealed case file number 6. The Dolnogorsk Incident. Dolnogorsk, Russia, January 29th, 1986. Residents of this small mining town on the Soviet Union's Pacific coast watch in disbelief as a red sphere hurtles across the night sky before crashing into a mountainside. A crowd gathers at the point of impact. There, they discover a smoking crater surrounded by a wide area covered by a strange black film. On close inspection, the film contains strange metallic beads.
3 Soviet academic centers and 11 research institutes analyzed the objects from this UFO crash. The distance between atoms is different from ordinary iron in this material. Radar cannot be reflected from the material. Elements in the material may disappear and new ones appear after heating. One piece apparently disappeared completely in front of 4 witnesses.
A declassified 1989 report states that Soviet scientists are convinced the object was an extraterrestrial space vehicle constructed by highly intelligent beings. The Dolnogorsk incident contains such compelling evidence, it has been referred to as the Russian Roswell. Unsealed case file number 5. Colares Island. 1977, Colares Island, northern Brazil. A violent wave of UFO attacks blast mysterious beams of light down on an unsuspecting small town. 35 people are treated for injuries that resemble radiation burns. 2 of them die within 24 hours. Panic spreads quickly throughout the region. Villagers stay awake through the night, banging pots and burning bonfires to keep the menacing lights away. The Brazilian military launches an investigation. Over 200 UFOs are reported over a 4-month period. The victims are interviewed about their ordeals, but the attacks leave officials baffled. Noted ufologist Jacques Vallée launches his own investigation into the Colares encounters. He concludes the mysterious light was in fact a complex combination of ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, and that many of the injuries were consistent with the effects of high-power pulsed microwaves. A.J. Gavard, the Brazilian director of MUFON, discusses the Colares incident at the 2013 citizen hearing in Washington, D.C.
Now, the situation went so intense that the community leaders went to the governor of the state of Pará to ask that something is done about it. and the government asked the Brazilian Air Force to start an investigation to give answers to the population. There was already, and this is in the documents, there was already a knowledge that there was an intelligence beyond that phenomenon, and that phenomenon was not Earthly.
Coming up, we reveal civilian close encounters of the third kind and investigate shocking evidence of alien beings. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Our countdown continues of the top 10 civilian close encounters of all time. Visual sightings of UFOs and their alleged physical effects often strike fear in the hearts of all who witness them. But a close encounter of the third kind takes many to a frightening, otherworldly level.
A close encounter of the third kind is when you not only have the visual sighting, evidence left behind, but you also see occupants either in or around the UFO.
Unsealed Case File number 4. The Solway Firth Spaceman. Cumbria, England, May 23rd, 1964. Firefighter Jim Templeton is on a day trip with his 5-year-old daughter. The two stop near the village of Burby Sands, where Templeton decides to take a few snapshots. But after developing the photos, Templeton is shocked to see what appears to be an astronaut in a spacesuit looming in the background behind his daughter. And he has no recollection of any such figure from that day. Templeton takes the photo to a local newspaper, and within hours, the image is appearing in publications all over the world. But the figure does not appear to be wearing any spacesuit of the era. Is this the first evidence of an alien being caught on film?
Nowadays, we're used to the idea that it's easy to fake a photograph. Back in 1964, it was a very different story. Indeed, authorities at Kodak, who made the film, were sent this and were asked, is this a fake? They came back and said, no, we see no evidence of any trickery here.
In fact, the image is so credible that Kodak offers a lifetime supply of film to anyone who can debunk or otherwise explain the image. That prize has never been claimed. Unsealed Case File number 3. The Zamora Incident. Socorro, New Mexico, April 24th, 1964. Police officer Lonnie Zamora is chasing a speeding car when he spots a strange flame bursting into the sky. It's followed by a deafening roar. Fearing an explosion, Zamora abandons his highway pursuit and sets out into the desert to investigate. There, he will have an extraordinary close encounter in one of the best documented UFO sightings in history. Zamora spots a large metallic object that at first glance appears to be an overturned car. But on closer examination, Zamora states it was like aluminum and shaped like a letter O. Standing next to it are two small figures that he at first takes to be small adults or possibly children. Zamora gets out of his car to question the mysterious pair. Suddenly, he's startled by the same deafening roar from minutes earlier. A flame bursts from beneath the object, lifting it into the air. It passes over his head and disappears into the distance. Because of his police training, Lonnie Zamora provides the FBI with one of the most detailed descriptions of a UFO on record. The agents are impressed by his sincerity, yet they cannot explain his observations. Coming up, we reveal disturbing evidence of the rarest close encounters of them all. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. We are counting down the top 10 most compelling civilian close encounters of all time. It's one thing to see something that cannot be explained, but some witnesses experience an encounter many people find difficult to comprehend.
A close encounter of the fourth kind is when the witness describes an abduction of some kind, where the extraterrestrials actually come down and take the witness, and then they become a victim.
Unsealed Case File number 2. Ted Davenport. Alamogordo, New Mexico, 1975. 16-year-old Ted Davenport is on a solo backpacking trip in the nearby wilderness. At night, he leaves his tent and is astonished to see a group of small, humanoid beings. He blacks out. 5 years later, he is in the Navy when he is badly injured and sent for emergency medical treatment. An MRI reveals a metallic implant in his brain. Doctors refuse to remove it. Davenport claims that aliens use the implants to control not only his brain, but the brains of the doctors who treat him as well. Many experts believe that if we are being monitored, it may be the least of our problems. We have come to the #1 close encounter that points to the heart of the extraterrestrial phenomenon. Unsealed case file number 1. Travis Walton. Arizona, November 5th, 1975. Travis Walton is working on a logging crew in an Arizona forest. After his shift ends, the crew are driving back to camp when a bright light is spotted just off the road. As the crew approaches, a large silver disc can be seen as the source of the blinding white light. Walton and his fellow workers stop to investigate. Walton allegedly blacks out and disappears into the light of the UFO.
When I regained consciousness, I was on board of this, apparently on board this spacecraft, and the first type of creature I saw was about 5 feet tall. They were very white looking. Their skin was very pale, and they didn't have any hair on their heads, and they had enormous eyes.
Travis was found several miles from the site of the abduction and could only recall a few hours of his close encounter. But even more disturbing is that 5 days had passed. Shortly after, he and his crew underwent a polygraph test. They were asked, "Did you tell the truth about seeing a UFO last Wednesday when Travis Walton disappeared?" All answered yes. Can aliens manipulate the very fabric of time and space? And if so, could rising reports of global close encounters only serve to highlight how vulnerable the human race is to extraterrestrial domination? This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.